You're watching the Love Thy Neighbor Podcast Network. All right. Welcome to the Love Thy Neighbor Podcast Network. I'm Anthony Wilson, and I'm back again with another podcast episode. You may be listening to this audio on podcast, or you may be watching this on YouTube. And on YouTube, this is a premiere, so you can interact. You can ask questions. You can ask questions of me. You can ask questions of my guest. Today I got a special guest. A couple of years ago I had the opportunity of interviewing my daughter. Finally get the opportunity to bring on my son. As you can notice, the AJ Wilson and the Anthony Wilson on there. Welcome to the Love Thy Neighbor Podcast Network, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. We're doing this, man. Where are you at right now? What part of the world you at? You in?
Right now, I'm currently in, I guess you could call it Green Bay, Wisconsin, but up here they call it the where I'm staying as the village of Alloway, up here in Wisconsin, right up here off the bay of Lake Michigan.
Yeah. You sound like you done integrated well, and we'll talk about how you got there in a little bit, but definitely glad to have this opportunity. I felt like it was a great time for us to get together and do this interview and kind of talk about some things. And so our subject today is, those that maybe have seen the title already, faith, family, and football, which is, a real thing for us. All these things have been a part of our lives, from day one. Football's been a part of your life. Faith has been a part of your life. Family, from as small as, 5 years old, all the way up till now.
Mm-hmm.
So before we dive in too deep, I want you to just share a little bit about who you are, um, where you are, and then we'll go from there. So let's just
Okay,
start off
yeah,
with some
sure
simple
thing.
stuff.
Sure thing. My name's AJ Wilson. I mean, I'm just enjoying life right now, following my faith. Right now, I'm up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, playing football for the Green Bay Blizzard of the IFL, and it's been a lot of fun just following my football career and where my faith in my football career has taken me and everything. In from CSU Pueblo, Colorado State Pueblo to Green Bay, from Hinckley High School, which not a lot of guys make it out of there playing football. So it's been a good time just coming out of there and enjoying everything and meeting new people, stuff like that. And hey, it's I'm just in the middle of the adventure. I'm not even close to the end yet. So
Yeah. Maybe even still the first leg,
yeah.
first leg of the journey. And so, yeah, man, we've had some conversations just about this journey to being able to play professional football. Can you tell the folks just a little bit about the IFL that they may not be familiar with it? um
Yeah, sure thing. So the IFL is the Indoor Football League. It's kind of like the National Arena League that everybody's heard about, where like the Kurt Warners and stuff like that played. Because we actually do play the Iowa Barnstormers and stuff like that, Arizona Rattlers. Those are a couple big time names that you may have heard. But it's just an indoor football league. It's 8 man, so 3 O linemen, 3D linemen, and then a QB, running back, receivers, DBs, linebackers, everything in there, except we play inside on kind of a more artificial carpet turf than outdoor turf like they do out in the NFL and CFL and stuff like that. And yeah, we get paid to do it. Everything's taken care of. We travel around playing other teams from other cities, and having a good time, you know.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are not familiar, with the IFL. They say, well, what is that? Is that the Arena Football League? And it used to be the Arena Football League, right? And so now
Yeah,
it's the Indoor Football League, and it's a fast-paced game. It's it's a lot of fun. Everything happens so quickly.
yep.
No lead is safe. you
Oh yeah,
know
there's no safe leads. But, every week we hear about a team that, like a couple weeks ago, playing the Massachusetts Pirates. They the week before they played us, they played Duke City. They were up by like 16 points with like 20 seconds to go and ended up losing. So no lead is safe because the whole field is within range.
right,
So
right. So yeah, long field goals, one play touchdowns, all kinds of stuff. um so the journey here, um there was a point where you were kind of thinking about being done with football, you know um but yet, right now you're still on the journey, you're still doing it. You're actually getting to play professionally. um Kind of talk about just how you got to where you're sitting right now. Maybe even start from maybe the week before you got the call. What was your mindset? What were you thinking about? That kind of
yeah,
thing.
I can do that. Yeah. So that week before, I was just kind of just finished. I had just finished up doing all my CFL trials because I was like, if I can't make the NFL right now, let's attempt to get in the CFL. Let's see where this takes me. Just going out there running 40s and doing broad jumps and one on ones with no pads on and stuff like that. Just seeing where it takes me. And so from that, I had really figured out a couple areas. I was like, okay, I need to grow in how I play football, how I think about the game, and stuff like that. Just going up against those guys because some of them were really good. Some of them had already played in the NFL. Some of them had already played in the CFL. So dealing with that and having to keep my mind sharp and knowing that, hey, these guys, everybody I'm going up against right now is either the same age or older than me, just like they used to be. So, but going forward, that week I decided to, I worked out a little bit with my trainer over at 6 0 Strength, Matt McChesney, I've been working out with him since I was in high school.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. And so he helped me through this process a little bit too. And I just was like, okay, told my agent, was like, yeah, it was my agent that, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break for the week. So I only got one workout in, and then I head down to Pueblo to hang out with some friends from college and stuff like that. And then when I got back, I started driving Uber again to foot my bills and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I looked up. My agent was calling me. He's like, "How do you feel about playing in the IFL?" And I was like, I mean, it's football, so I'm
Right.
okay with it." And he's like, "Okay, give me a couple minutes." And then so I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm waiting on a phone call back." And then he broke it down to me when he called me back that the Green Bay Blizzard were interested and they really needed an offensive lineman. That because they had a couple injuries across their offensive line, so they needed a guy and they needed him yesterday. As I came to find out from Coach Corey that when I finally got the chance to go get on the phone with him. So that was on Tuesday, May 2nd or 3rd or something like that. And so my agent Lee, I'm talking to him back and forth. He's setting it up and talking to the coach, and then I finally get the chance to talk to the coach later on that night. And he's like, "Yeah, we want you. We need you. Let's get you up here." So that was one thing, and then finding out he I had to get the plane ticket to get up here, and I was going to be thrown in the fire immediately. I was changing the position a little bit, not too much, going from guard to center. So that was going to be a little bit of a change, not much though. And that Friday, it was an interesting feeling to be like, okay, I'm doing nothing. I just hung out, spent the weekend with my friends, and now all of a sudden it's Tuesday, and I have tomorrow, or it's Monday night actually. It was on Monday night, and I was like, okay, I got to be up there on a Tuesday, And then on Wednesday, I was gonna have a 5 a.m. practice.
Wow.
So, and it was going full throttle from that moment on. And then not only that, but I was gonna have to go to North Dakota and Bismarck and have a game that weekend. So I went from having nothing, just working out and chilling, to I have a game this weekend that I have to be ready for. It was so that's it's a little overwhelming. I was a little frantic, but hey, just when God gives you the call, you get the call, you go. That's all it is. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's an amazing moment, amazing story, to this point, but leading up to this point, I remember we were sitting in a men's group one time and we were all gathered around and we are talking about, God's will and, trying to follow God's will and, what is God convincing us to do by faith. And, one of the things that you said was to continue your football career. And some of the guys
mhm.
looked at each other and looked around the room, was like, well, isn't that your dream? And your response was what? What was your response?
Oh, okay. So my response at that time was like, I mean, after everything that happened in college, I had a love-hate relationship with my coaches and stuff like that. At the end of it, I was just kind of like, I'm beat up. I don't really have as much motivation as I did when I first got there. And I was like, I got a degree. There's many paths that I can take,
Right.
and I was like, and all of those seem easy, and I enjoy just going somewhere routine. I enjoy the routine, but I had to look internally, and my response to, like you saying, at that men's group was, I was done playing football. That's what I thought. But God was, he had other plans. He was like, yeah, I need you to do this. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I had to put myself on the back burner and follow his dream, his path that he laid before me. And I have to trust that he's got it laid out. So just dealing with that, that's tough in itself, because when you're ready to quit, you're ready to quit.
Mm.
So
Yeah, and I think that's why, we talk about faith, family and football, faith, that whatever God is doing, he knows what's best. Because some people would think, oh yeah, football should be your dream, but it's something that you believe that God wants you to continue to do. And you don't know how long, and you don't
mhm,
know maybe the end result of that, what the mission is within the mission, right?
right.
People think the mission is football, but you're more than a football player. You're a child of God. And so how does that factor in? Even going back to college, when kids were like, it's all about football. There were times where you were doing ministry, doing crew,
Hmm.
FCA, discipling guys one-on-one. People are like, well, how come you're not, you know, hanging out trying to get in good so you can make your football career work? You know, how was it that, for you feeling like, but this is a part of who I am, you know, as much or even more than football?
Yeah. So with all that, having that ministry on side of football, I just knew, like, coming out of high school, I knew I was like, okay, I want to play football. I want to play football, but I didn't really grow in my faith enough until I got to college to realize that, hey, why do I have this dream? What's making me want to play football like this? And I understand that I want to be playing football just because, I'm an athletic guy and I want to use those talents. But I had to look at myself and was like, what situations is God putting me in to, like, is there something he wants me to do?
Mm.
And so I had to try and figure out what he wanted me to do, which it was a long, trying process over the man. I was at Pueblo for 5.5 years thanks to
Mm.
COVID. So
Right.
so it was a long, trying process of figuring out who I am and who I am in him. And while I'm doing that, I'm being a leader in crew, and also helping out with FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, because we were doing a lot of things together. Because when you're in this ministry, you're in this ministry together. So we were doing a lot of things together, just discipling, Bible studies, and all this stuff. And I'm watching some of my teammates, they were just going out and hanging out and partying and stuff like that. And I was like, sometimes, in the back of your head, like, that looks fun. But then you're like,
Mm.
but that's not what's meant for me, though. So just thinking about those things and going and going hard and focusing on what God's got. And I think the most refreshing moment for me was one of my teammates. He had told me one time because he was dropping me off after practice because I didn't have a car at the time, and he was like, "Hey AJ, initially I didn't like you," and I
Wow.
was like, "What?" And I was like, "Why not?" And he's like, I didn't like the way you carried yourself and stuff like that. But over the years, because we came in the same recruiting class, he is like, "You've actually shown me what it's like to be a follower of Christ." And
Mm.
I was like,
Wow.
what? I was like, I haven't even really been doing anything besides just living life. But that's what God calls us to do, is to live life with Him and for Him. So that's really all we need to do. And so that made it football a little bit dicey at times and stuff like that. But I knew deep in my heart that if the decision ever came down to picking God or football, I was going to pick God every time. So
Amen. Yeah, yeah, that's powerful. Because a lot of people, football is it. That's who they are. That's their identity. If football doesn't work, they're hopeless. They feel like, man, life is
mhm.
over. Not for you, because what I hear you saying is that that you're made for a greater purpose, and football is just a vehicle. And however God uses it to get you to where He wants you to be, you're okay with that journey. Is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. I had to learn to be okay with that, because there was a point where I was coming out of high school. I'm a football player. I'm a football player. I told myself I'm a football player. But as I grew up in college, I was like, I'm not a football player. I'm AJ.
Mm.
And there are different aspects to AJ. And although that involves being a football player, I'm not only a football player. And so that's why, like, I hear guys and some of my teammates, they really struggled when they got injured because that was stripped from them. And I was like, I don't think I would struggle like that. I'd be mad that I'm missing some opportunities. But hey, I got other things I can worry about besides just not being able to play football. So,
Right. Right, definitely. And so, with that being said, throughout this journey, what is the role of your family, been throughout all this that you've been going through, the ups and downs, the hills and valleys, how has your family been there in these situations?
well, they've been my greatest support system, as you know. But they've been my greatest support system because they've just been there every step of the way. I think one of the examples is I can always call my mom. I would call my mom for academic stuff when I was struggling in classes and stuff. She would just call me and get on me, get to class, get doing this, doing that. And so she's always been there for that stuff and keeping me on track. And then I would call my dad, and we would just break down film together. That's how we spend a lot of our time, is breaking down film, which and that would lead to some other conversations, sometimes some deep conversations.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you just take those, and then they would stand by me. They Whatever my choice was, they were like, okay, we're gonna go with you. So that's really how they stuck with me. And when I was feeling down, they were there to console me. When I was feeling up, they were feeling up. So it's just having that constant support system there, so that way your lows don't get too low and your highs don't get too high, and keeping you steady and knowing that, hey, even if I do mess up or make a mistake, I'm not alone. So,
Right. And don't forget your Thursday calls, you
oh
know.
yeah, it's changed. It's changed a couple times over the years, because I think at one point it was like a Monday. I would call Tier on some Mondays, and then it changed. It changed with every school year, because my class schedule would change, and I was like, okay, this is the day. Because although it's a little weird that I have a designated day to talk to my sister, but hey, it made it easier, because it's like, okay, I can just save up everything until this day.
Right.
I don't have to worry about trying to find time, 10, 15 minutes here, 10, 15 minutes there. I could just call her on that day where I'm a little bit more free. And hey, she's free on that day too. And we'll end up talking on the phone for a couple of hours and just we're together in it. And then having them with me, and then finding out I had family that at the school that I was at. My cousin Kurt,
Yeah.
it was a great support system for me at the university. So I wasn't just like, I knew I had my family back home and my parents and my sister, but to have a relative and a friend, sister friends at my school there with me to walk out every single day, and to them to hold me accountable to who I am was even better. It was just like, okay, cool. I have all my boxes checked, so that way I can be me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, at the end of the day, having family as you go through, the ups and downs, I mean, just the toils of it, because I remember me and you were talking about, you know, the things that you wish you had known, when you started your, especially the college stage of this.
Oh yeah.
What are some of those things, that young guy coming in, he says, "Hey AJ, what's some things that I should be aware of, in this process?" What are some of those things that you would share with that young guy? You know?
I got a couple of those. I think the biggest one for me is time management skills are
Mm.
a must, because it comes back to bite you in your butt when you don't know how to manage that time, whether it's just hanging out with your friends or doing schoolwork or doing a Bible study when you want to. If you don't know how to manage your time correctly, you can't do anything. And I found that out a little bit. I found that out early on that that was going to be the hardest thing, because that first year was rough on me school wise. I had a lot of fun, but I didn't do what I needed to do in the classroom, which didn't set me up to be a success on the football field or in anything that wasn't related to just hanging out. So I had to learn that. And then, coming in with a sense of confidence. You always have to have the confidence in yourself that you can do anything. And having that confidence, and sometimes it wears on you because you see dudes when you first get to college, at least for me on the football field, that you're like, that dude's an amazing athlete.
Right, right.
Like, am I really gonna be able to compete with them?
Mm.
You gotta take a step back. Like, it doesn't matter if I can compete with them. Can I compete with me? Is that find that vision of yourself where you're the utmost and you don't have any of the weaknesses, because we all know our weaknesses.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's the one of the things you have to identify is what your weaknesses are, whether that's you're susceptible to talking to somebody for too long, you like talking too much or stuff like that. I think that was one of the things I learned also, is that I'm not a home studier person. I can't study at home at all for anything. I have to leave. And so there would be constant nights where me and my cousin and our friends, all right, well, we're going to the library. And we would just be in the library, and we wouldn't always do a whole bunch of work, but we just being there helps you get work done. And whether it was a little bit or a lot, you're in an environment that works for you to get that work done.
Yeah.
And so having those things, like I said, time management, confidence, and then knowing your weaknesses and knowing how to overcome those weaknesses, even if it's a little bit of time, somebody's going to have the knowledge that you need. And I think that's the last thing, is linking up with others that fill that void for where you are weak at. Like, if you're not confident in yourself, link up with somebody that's always confident, because they'll teach you how to be confident. And then you'll become
Mm.
confident when they're down, and that helps them. And that's something that also my faith helped me with, because I was always the confident guy, because my confidence was never in me. It was that God put me here. And so having that confidence, it rubbed off on other people. It made me always seem like more of a leader than even I wanted to be. So
Right.
at times, but other people noticed it and it helped them. And then when I was started to feel down, they would help me because now they've got that confidence. So
Yeah, definitely a blessing. And when it comes down to being an athlete and being a Christian, there's there's some tension there, because for a lot of people, being an athlete means being a celebrity figure, being a partier, being a socialite, so to speak.
mm-hmm.
How did that, how did you balance, being a Christian and being strong in who you are with the social pull of being an athlete, first of all on the campus, and now in more of a professional atmosphere where guys are grown, right? They're grown and they're just well, even in college they were grown, so I won't say that, but just in that atmosphere where there's more freedom to kind of do what you want to do, you know.
Yeah, I'd say it's just because that was one of the hard things of learning that balance. Because there's a balance to it that, hey, when the work's there, you have to get the work done. And a lot of guys, whatever they do after that work's done is what they do. Like me, I prefer not to go out and party and stuff like that. But other guys need that to blow off that steam, to relax themselves and stuff like that. I never really was one of those guys. But finding the balance between, hey, I have a packed schedule. I need to figure out, I only have like 2 hours here to myself. What do I want to do during those 2 hours? Do I just want to lay in the bed this day? Or do I want to play video games for 2 hours with my friends? Or do I want to just go hang out? Or if you decide to take it a little bit further, if I want to go out with my friends and hang out with everybody else and go appear at a party, as I like to call it, appear, because I wasn't actually at the parties like that, but I would show up because all my friends were there.
Right.
I'd show up and then I'd leave. You just gotta get your guest appearance
Right.
in. So you show up and you're just you say what's up to everybody, and then when you leave, when you're ready to leave, having the ability to do that, you have to balance. Okay, if I'm gonna lose a little bit of sleep, you have to be mentally prepared for that. You can't let it throw you off that, hey, I got less sleep this time. Now I have to go do this in the morning. And I'm not gonna be ready for it.
Right.
Because if it was gonna overwhelm you that much, you got to say no. But if you're able to do it, you can do it. That's my thing. Is just when you find that give and take, you learn it. You have to learn it, and you have to learn it as soon as you can. Find what works for you. Find, hey, this is my niche for hanging out and getting relaxation. One of the guys that during the training process and stuff a couple months ago, he told me some of his teammates that he was talking to, they were started off great, and then their performance started to slack. And he's like, you guys just need something to blow off steam. Let's just go play video games or something.
Right.
And they did. And then the next week they were back performing at their best. So that, given that little self-esteem or that little break that you need from actually being present in the moment, you could just, all right, I'm here, but I'm not really here. It has to be acceptable at times for you, and you have to find when it is, which is the tough point. But like you're saying, with it's a little bit different going from the college areas to the professional ranks, but it's just a little bit different. Guys have a little more freedom because they don't have a coach breathing down their back. It's just, hey, you do you. As long as you're at practice at this time,
Right.
okay, and you can perform, you're good. I think that's one thing that's different. But that just means, hey, you have to know you. You have to know what hurts you. You have to know what bothers you mentally and bothers you physically, and keeps you going. And so you have to be able to balance those things. And so sometimes experiment a little is needed. And that's why I say, hey, if you're a college athlete and you're late to the one practice or that two practices, when you first get there and show up on campus or show up when you're doing it, that's okay. Don't let it, but you can build from there because now you know I can't do this. So, but if your teammates know, and because some of your teammates will be the telltale sign, like you see your teammates going out there and they tell you not to go, that means they can probably already tell that that's something that you shouldn't be doing. So,
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, it's about managing yourself, right? Because you
mm-hmm.
can't control what other people are doing, and so you don't. But you have to hold to your standard. And so with you know football and being now a professional, maybe you're not NFL, CFL, but IFL is a professional football league. What are some differences in preparing to play from the college level to this level of football? What are some of the differences that you're experiencing?
um, see, that's a tough one because there's not a huge leap in
Okay.
preparation. The leap is that it's more on you.
Right.
That's the way I picture it from high school to college to professional. Every step of the way, the preparation gets pushed more and more on you and how you handle that preparation. So in high school, you can get away with not watching so much film. You can get away with just being a top flight athlete. When you get to college, everybody's a top flight athlete. And now it comes down to, do you know your job and are you willing to put in a little extra work? Once you get to the professional level, everybody's putting in a little extra work. Now it's how where can you find that extra edge? Whether it's in the film study, whether it's looking at the scouting reports, or some for some guys is looking at like their opponents' Instagrams and stuff and getting names of people that guy knows. Just so that way there's some level of mental edge because once you get to a professional level, everybody's good,
Right.
but it's about the little minute details and your preparation, and your coaches can't really help you with that as much as you think they can. That all comes down to you because you're going to have a lot of time. You have enough time, you have your workouts and stuff like that, but now you don't have to worry about school. You're just doing
Mm.
your sport. And so why not take advantage of that full time and watch, instead of watching an hour of film, watch 2 3 hours of film because you have the time available for you. So that way you truly understand who you're going up against. So, and that
Yeah.
goes with everything.
Mm.
Because like when it comes down to uh, for me and my faith, reading your Bible, that's the ultimate question. Is like, hey, am I going to spend this time reading my Bible, or am I going to just spend this time scrolling through TikTok, zoned out?
Right. Right.
And so that is the same situation in both cases. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely good. Especially, for the young folks that are transitioning. So I guess this is the question I want to ask, you know, eh, transitioning into the young adult category. It starts in college, but now you're kind of really getting into, what it looks like to be a young adult. um, what are some of the things that, as far as your faith, would you encourage people that are making that transition, whether it's to a career, whether it's to, playing, a sport, whether it's to, what are some of the things that you would say, hey, make sure you have this in place, that have been benefited you.
I guess for me, one thing that has benefited me is that the mentality of keeping your options open and being honest about it. And so, what I mean by that is whether it's options within yourself or options like, hey, this guy, I got an offer, a job offer here, a job offer there, and make it known to each job, I have another job offer. So you're not my only option because that changes the way they look at you. It changes the way everybody looks at you. That you're willing, hey, I'm gonna go get her. I'm gonna find a way to get this done, no matter what it takes. And then sometimes that's also just evaluating yourself because there are options that you have that, hey, I may be weak in this area. Do I actually want to strengthen this or do I want to just go? And so transitioning through college and stuff like that, you learn how to capitalize on those moments or to not capitalize on those moments. That, hey, I have an offer that can change my life right now. And it's never like the most monumental things.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a job offer. Sometimes it's, do I feel like reading before I go to bed? Or do I feel like doing push ups before I go to bed? Or having a morning routine? Something small like that. And then you become consistent in it. That consistency of, hey, I'm going to capitalize on every opportunity that I got. And I'm going to let everybody know I'm going to capitalize on it. Because when you let people know and you capitalize on it because you said you were going to, they start holding you to that standard. And then you start holding yourself to the standard even more. So I think that's one big thing is just you can have a constant mental aspect of growth, whether you make the wrong decision or right decision on an opportunity, there's something that can be learned from it going forward that can help you no matter what happens. So yeah, that's what I would say is that for me, having a mindset of growth through pain, through struggle, through hey, I made the wrong decision, through regret, all of that. There's something in it that can help you.
Yeah, I think that's a good word because I remember, and so this past Christmas, me and you got to watch what's it called? American Underdog,
Yeah,
the Kurt Warner story. And I remember us watching that, and kind of discussion afterwards is that, would you do an indoor football league, or would you? And I don't really remember what you said at the time. you know but like you said, having those options open, you know that if this door opens, I can do that, because I know some of the things, in the process, especially when we're getting to the point where you were seeing other guys that you had played with, from little league, getting opportunities, and you're looking around and you're saying, okay, you know, God, I can go get a job. I can go do something different. Why do you want me to stick
mm,
to this path when it doesn't look like, things are panning out? When you were, beginning to have those thoughts, how did you stay the course? How were you able to maintain and stay the course?
I think that that's a little difficult. You know, it varies from person to person. And for me, I took solace in the routine. So, like you're saying, watching that movie about Kurt Warner and his path, and he had to work at a grocery store, and then he decided to go play in the arena league, and then got a shot. And watching that, he had to just stay the straight path, and it was hard to see where how he was doing it. And for him, he just trusted. He just trusted and had confidence in himself. And for me, my confidence was that hey, God's got a plan, so I'm just gonna stick with it no matter what, unless he tell me otherwise. And every single door, no matter what, is slammed in my face. That was what I was gonna stick to. And me being a routine guy is hey, I had an Uber Eats delivery fees and stuff that I had to do, and I had workouts that I had to do. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna work out, go drive, work out, go drive.
Right.
I'm just gonna, this is me. I'm just gonna get used to it. And whatever happens, happens. And I'm gonna try and be prepared at all times, which is a lot of people don't tell you how hard it is to be prepared at all times because
Yeah.
it is hard. It's mentally it's draining. It physically is hard, but I think really it's the mental battle where you look at yourself and you're like, why, why, why,
Right.
why? And the more you ask yourself why, it's like you lose a little bit of energy every time. And so you just got to find something, that baseline that you're looking for, and just go and stick to that baseline no matter what. So that's what it helped me was just sticking to the hey, God said this, and I'm getting tired, but he don't get tired. So
That's right. He that keeps me neither slumbers nor sleeps. He's always on the clock, and so definitely powerful. And so I guess as we come to probably a good point to maybe land this. What are some final thoughts that you would give to a friend, family member, somebody who believes that God is giving them something to do, but maybe they're not sure about why or how this is going to work out in the end? What would you say to that person who says, AJ, I just, this is hard, man. I don't even know where God is taking me. I don't know why he wants me to go this route.
mm-hmm.
What would you share with them?
See, I would share with them. first. It sounds a little cliche, but it's hey, sometimes you don't need to know where you're going. You just need to know the job that you're gonna be complete. And that's like I think there's a saying, it's better to be a warrior in a time of peace than a citizen in a time of war.
Mm.
And so you have to be okay. I have the ability, and let's say for me it was football. I was just like I have an ability. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know nothing. But every opportunity that I hear of, I'm gonna stick my hat in. If it don't work out, it don't work out, and be okay if it don't work out. That's where being content comes in. Like you just within yourself, you have to just accept the results as they come because you're not always gonna like the results that are given to you. They're not all. It's not always gonna be like, oh, got this off the first time. It may take 100 times. It may take 1,000. And so just being content, like, hey, this no is a no. I guess I'm on to the next one. And then I understand that's really hard because it was hard for me. But that's where, like I said, that growth mindset is, hey, this no showed me a little something. Let me take it to the next one. This next no showed me a little something. So just being consistent with that. And so I would just say to them, like, hey, it's okay to not know. That's get used to that mindset. It's okay. Uncertainty is okay. Just be certain in the things that you're certain of,
Right.
because those things will carry you. If you're certain you have the ability to be a teacher or a life coach or something, or you want to start a business and you're certain in the business, be certain in that idea. Be certain in it and give it up to God, and He'll carry it the rest of the way. Whatever way He's gonna make it go, it's gonna go. So
Definitely, definitely. So last but not least, want to give you a chance to, give some shout outs, to some folks that, you feel like, hey, they've been there. Just want to acknowledge them, in this journey, thus far. You know, yeah, to this particular point, who are some folks that you feel like, man, I want to give some shout outs.
well, I've shouted out my parents and my sister, my cousin. I guess my one of my friends, a couple of my friends, Charles, who's out in Arizona. He really helped me out, just helping me think, be a deeper thinker, and he's just been there through and thick and thin. I can call him up at any time. And then my friend Ben, who's been there since the whew,
Day
the
one.
beginning. It's been almost shoot, it's been so long, it's crazy. And then us going through each of our individual journeys and staying connected and knowing that we're a support for each other. And then just yeah, and then my extended family, my uncles, my aunts and stuff like that, and my grandpa, just that they're watching over me. And then yeah, my teammates from college and just wishing the best for me and giving me that inside look at, hey, we know what you are, so go be what you are. So I'm thankful for all that. So I think that's the only really shout outs I need right now. And then I'm thankful for my agent Lee helping me find the opportunities when I didn't know how to find them. So
Yeah. Well, I definitely, there's one person who's kind of been like a kind of an angel on your shoulder, throughout this process ever since you met him. And I think, if you don't shout him out, I think, we ought to say something about, my man, Coach Washington. You know,
yo,
he's he's been there for those phone calls, one-on-one conversations, and it's like every now and then it's like sprinkles in, you know.
yeah, but I guess you could call him the that one the special season and the special sauce that you
Right,
need. You
right.
gotta shout him out because I get to talk to him from time to time, not as much as I used to, but whenever I need him, He's right there, and he's always willing to give that advice because he's gone down the path I'm trying to travel before, and he's been all over. And so having that him and his experiences to draw from and has been a help. And him and Morgan and my friend Mathena, having all of them, just having those people in my life has helped me. So that I think that's something I'm really grateful for because he's one of the few coaches that I'm still around and still hanging out with.
Yeah.
So
No, he's different. We kind of view him as family, kind of extended family, kind of. He's like an uncle, or you know,
yeah, pretty
you know,
much. At this point in time, he might as well be an uncle.
you know, but yeah, definitely. And so last but not least, man, I always have my guests, just pray for our listeners, especially those listeners that may be, traveling, the same path, or, that you're traveling, just to,
hmm
you just pray for them, that, God's kingdom come and his will be done in their life.
Yeah. Hey, bow your head, close your eyes. Dear Father, I just thank you for the opportunity, just for this conversation, Lord, to help others and to get this message out to everyone. That you're even if they don't feel it, you're with them every step of the way. Even if you haven't given them direction, you're still with them, Lord. Sometimes you have to be willing to just rest in you, Lord. And I'm thankful for that opportunity, Lord. And I ask that you just help those that may feel like they're struggling with that. Teach them how to accept and how to be content with what you called them, and be certain of the certains, and leave everything else up to you, Lord, and give them the strength to do that because it takes a lot of strength, Lord. And all our strength comes from you, Lord. And I ask that you give them the confidence that they need to continue stepping forward, Lord. And I'm forever grateful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen and amen. So AJ, how can people watch your games? What's your team, and how can they watch the games?
Oh, okay. So we got two more games left of the season. The next one's coming up on a Saturday against the Frisco Fighters. And you can watch it on YouTube. You can look it up. We're the Green Bay Blizzard. So you can just type in Green Bay Blizzard and it should pop up, and it'll have a little link that you, or the video for the upcoming games and the past games that you can still watch because they're still up there if anybody wants to watch some past games and stuff like that. Or you can check out IFL football, and that'll have every game from around the league, and you can check those out and it'll have the little highlights and stuff like that. But yeah, right now we're mainly on YouTube and stuff like that, and then you can hit them up at Green Bay Blizzard on Instagram and stuff like that. That's where you can find them at. And hey, I'll be here. Let you
Now,
keep you up to date.
are there any past games that you recommend we should go back and watch?
I guess one would be the game against the Bismarck Bucks, which was May 7th. That one was a good one to watch. I personally like because it was the first game I got there. We won 55-14.
Yeah.
So if you're excited to see a team score and stuff like that and put up points, and that's a good one to watch. If you want to see a more back and forth battle, we have a couple of those ones because a lot of our games go back and forth. And so I would say this past one against Sioux Falls was a big one, first time beating them, and so that was a good one. Sioux Falls Storm. I'd say there's one more I would want to watch would be the first game against Quad Steel City Steamrollers, which was on, I believe that was like May 14th or something like that, May
Mhm.
15th. That was a good game. It was a back and forth. A lot of these games is you tie at a half and then you look up and you're down. So
Right.
any of those games is pretty good. I'm not gonna just sell you on wins and wins. You got to be able to see the good and the bad. So
Definitely. All right. Well, man, appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come on with me. I mean, we get to talk a lot, but people don't really get to, see some of our conversations, but just really wanted to share the journey with some of those that may be watching. And And if you're watching, make sure you know, go down the live chat. You can support this channel. You can join this channel. All, you know, your support and your prayers are definitely welcome and needed. Otherwise, remember to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. God bless you. Thank you for watching.